Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Welcome to our 195th episode. I hope you all had an incredible Christmas and wishing you all the best for the new year. The countdown to 2025 has begun. It's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. I read all your comments and reply to all of your questions. Continue to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z, X-E-N. And remember that all of our episodes are streaming 24/7 on your home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide platform. Of course, you can always find us directly on our YouTube channel at Zen Sams. In the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, joining me today is Julie McFadden, better known to her millions of followers as Hospice Nurse Julie. She has been a palliative and hospice care nurse for over 15 years, a social media star, and the author of Nothing to Fear, Demystifying Death to Live More Fully. She's here to help us break the taboos, address our fears, and give us the tools to navigate end of life with grace and acceptance. In the Menopause Panel, brought to you by the Polished Beauty segment on the Expert on the Microphone series, we're going to be breaking the silence on menopause and perimenopause, a topic that affects half the population but still carries outdated stigmas. Lana, Kerr, CEO of CO2 Lift, Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified OBGYN and cosmetic surgeon, and Dr. Doris Day, a world-renowned dermatologist, media personality, and author, are going to be coming on to help me demystify the stigmas surrounding female sexual health. We're going to dive in and get real about menopause, starting with the changes we can see and feel. In our WOR Business Feature, today we're joined by Amberson Camargos, all the way from the farms of Brazil to the bustling streets of New York City, the owner of VGJ Floors that serves New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York since 2004, is going to join me to chat about his passion, what VGJ has to offer, and how it stands out in the crowded marketplace, offering customers the best quality floors with the lowest prices, proving that the American dream is still very much alive. In the Express Scandals segment, legal contributor and analyst Imran Ansari of Idala Bertuna Commons is going to cover the latest with the P. Diddy scandal and recently new allegations about an alleged 13-year-old rape victim accusing Jay-Z. Stay tuned for the Menopause Panel, brought to you by Polished Beauty segment. Stay tuned for Lana Kerr, Dr. Daisy Ayim, and Dr. Doris Day. We'll be right back after this. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We're tackling everything from film and fashion to health and wellness, all with the millennial mom's perspective. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Menopause Panel, brought to you by the Polished Beauty segment on the Expert on the Microphone series, we're going to be breaking the silence on menopause and perimenopause, a topic that affects half the population but still carries outdated stigmas. Did you guys know that 6,000 women in the U.S. enter menopause every single day? That's over 2 million women every year, yet many feel left in the dark about what's really happening to their bodies. This segment is not just about statistics, it's about understanding, empowerment, and solutions. From skincare concerns and sexual wellness to debunking myths, we're assembled powerhouse of panel experts to guide you through this conversation. First up, we have Lana Kerr, the trailblazing CEO of CO2 Lift and Lumisque Skincare, whose revolutionary carboxytherapy treatments are transforming our skin even in the most intimate areas. Joining us is Dr. Daisy Ayim. She's a triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN whose practice in Houston blends beauty, health, and wellness. She also hosts and is the founder of the Polished Beauty podcast. And finally, welcoming our returning guest, Dr. Doris Day, a world-renowned dermatologist, media personality, and author whose expertise on skin health and the mind-skin connection has earned her accolades across the globe. Let's dive in and get real about menopause, starting with the changes that we can see and feel. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
So excited to have this panel, the mind-skin connection, Dr. Doris Day. I'm going to start with you. So as we know, stress is a major player in the menopausal journey, and it doesn't just affect our mood, it impacts our skin as well. And research has shown that stress hormones like cortisol worsen dryness, wrinkles, and even acne. So Dr. Day, your work on the mind-skin connection is groundbreaking. Can you explain how mental health ties into skin health during menopause and what strategies women can adopt to care for both?
This is such a great question, and it's so important because as a dermatologist, it's amazing how often our sessions seem like the patients like therapy sessions as much as injection and treatment sessions, but it is really all connected. And we now know that you have estrogen receptors in your brain and in your gut and in your joints and in your skin and pretty much all over your body. So the mind skin connection and the mind estrogen connection is very real. And when I address skin issues, I'm also addressing the anxiety and all of these stressors that can affect the skin and the hair. When you have the anxiety around menopause, you can have stress shedding of hair on top of female pattern hair loss, which can accelerate it. So I need to pay attention to what my patients are feeling, what they're going through in their lives, what their relationships are like, if I'm going to make a difference in their skin, especially around perimenopause, not just menopause. And I think the big mistake we make is that we wait until menopause to address those issues, when instead we have to look at this sort of grayish area around perimenopause. And the reason it's grayish is because it's very long, it's slow in how it develops, and it's different for different women. It happens at all different ages.
Yeah, bridging mental health and skincare is such an empowering concept. I mean, your advice to our listeners is invaluable. When does perimenopause typically start?
Perimenopause starts as soon as you start having an irregular period. So if your period has always been a 28-day or 30-day cycle, whatever your cycle is, once you start having it a little bit before or a little bit later, you've entered perimenopause.
These are signs, and they can start in your 30s too. Now, which brings me to my next question for Lana. During perimenopause, estrogen levels plummet, which reduces collagen production. And by age 50, we lose about 30% of our skin's collagen, leading to dryness, wrinkles, and a loss of elasticity. But your company, CO2 Lift, has revolutionized skincare with carboxytherapy, a treatment that boosts oxygenation and regeneration. So, Lana, please tell me how these treatments address the unique skin challenges faced by menopausal women.
Well, some of the things, as Dr. Day mentioned, drier skin, thinner skin. And one of the things that CO2 Lift carboxy gel does very well is increase hydration. It's like a tall glass of water for their skin. And I always talk about, the raisin grape analogy. We're born this beautiful plump grape, and then we turn into this raisin all over. And fortunately, we have, our two professionals here who help to slow that process down. The CO2 Lift is what tool that they use, or other physicians can use, or individuals use, to reverse that, as well as elasticity. In fact, just one more point, we just completed a clinical with the Mayo Clinic, and they show that CO2 Lift produces type 1 and type 3 collagen, which is some things that's going to help women going into menopause, which is what is decreasing. So those are some of the things that we can do on the face. And then, of course, the skin on between our legs, that's another conversation. But again, we're addressing, dryness down there. We're addressing sensitivity down there. So those are things that's going to help women to navigate this period of life and still maintain the quality of life that they're used to.
So important. And thank you for your answer. That resonates with so many women experiencing these changes and looking for effective, non-invasive solutions. Now I'm going to pivot to sexual wellness post-menopause, Dr. Daisy. So menopause doesn't just affect our skin, it can also change our sexual health. Vaginal dryness, discomfort, and loss of libido are common complaints, but they're often ignored in mainstream conversations. And studies show that up to 50% of postmenopausal women experience sexual dysfunction, yet very few seek help. As someone who bridges cosmetic surgery and OBGYN expertise, how do you help women regain confidence and comfort in their intimate lives, and what treatments or approaches do you recommend?
Yeah, the first thing was, whenever a woman present with a concern in the office, is basically just listen to her, right? Hear her story out, what has been happening in her life, where she's in her journey. And that really allows me to tailor treatment for her because, as we age, as Lana has mentioned, Dr. Day mentioned, estrogen depletes and the vaginal tissue health changes. It becomes thinner, it's more sensitive in as far as discomfort, but the nerve endings are not as sensitive as well. So your pleasure is much decreased as you're older. So when I listen, I gather this information, then I start with a treatment option customized to her need. The number one priority is estrogen replacement because there's nothing else that will replace estrogen in treatment of the sexual health of a woman. So there's local estrogen that I prescribe that they can use to improve it. But we do have adjuncts like CO2 lift. We have medications that are non-hormonal that can be helpful. We have devices that you can actually use to boost, lubrication, helps with the tissue and sensitivity. And then, stem cells, is also helpful in that area. I package a treatment that is very comprehensive to her need based on what her concern is. Genitourinary symptoms of menopause is something that is known and is common. And a lot of women don't associate that with being menopause. They just think, oh, I'm running to the bathroom a lot lately, and not thinking it's because of their age or the menopause that's associated with it.
Such a critical topic, and thank you for those insights because they're definitely helping destigmatize these conversations for many listeners. Now we're going to talk about anti-aging innovations with Dr. Doris. So many women in menopause are often bombarded with anti-aging products, but not all are effective or even safe. So as a dermatologist and innovator, what breakthroughs in skincare should women look for, and are there any specific ingredients you recommend for menopausal skin?
So I think it's addressed on several levels. One is internally with like really paying attention to your diet. I absolutely think hormone replacement therapy is undervalued. And I think of it even as malpractice, that we're not telling more women about the value and safety and efficacy of hormone replacement in protecting collagen and protecting your brain, your heart, your joints, your bones, all of those things that hormone replacement does. I tell women that you're not taking extra estrogen. You're replacing what your body still needs but can no longer make. And you're supplementing what your body needs. And estrogen is not a carcinogen. People think about cancer as their main risk, when in reality, that discussion needs to happen. I'm not saying it's right for every woman, but I'm saying that we're not having the conversation openly and comfortably enough. And women think they just have to power through this phase. But in the office, we talk about the importance of diet, getting enough protein. Resistance training is really important. You build collagen in your skin from doing weightlifting, not just in your muscles. And that's important. I think collagen supplements can be helpful. I prefer usually switching off of a prescription retinoic acid to an over-the-counter retinol because I think that they're gentler and they're even more effective. And they also are combined with other antioxidants that make them work better and are better tolerated. Then there's lots of peptides, stem cells, exosomes that we use. In-office treatment, SoftWave is one of my favorites because it has no downtime. The data behind it is great, and my patients are thrilled with the results, and it's very tolerable. So that tightens and lifts without injecting anything. Fillers and neuromodulators are amazing. We really understand the commonalities of how we age, the changes in bone and fat pads, and how to balance out. So the rate limiting factor in how you age are going to be your eyes. If the bones around your eyes shrink, that means the hole gets bigger and your eyes can either sink in or get more hooded. If you try to overfill the face to try to have the same structure you did when you were 20, your eyes are going to look smaller and more recessed. So you can't replace everything, but you can create balance and improve skin quality. And there's so much we can do with all the devices we have that can be safe and effective. But this is a journey. It's small things done over time that will make a very big difference.
Wow, look at you. I mean, you said it all in like under 2 minutes. I know our listeners definitely appreciate your practical expert advice, especially on navigating the overwhelming skincare market, because you just nipped it all in the bud and gave me that 101 idiot's guide to skincare. So let's talk about busting menopause myths. Lana, let's tackle some of the myths head on. One of the most persistent is that menopause is the end of vitality and beauty, which couldn't be further from the truth. as someone at the forefront of empowering women through science-based skincare, how do you challenge these myths and help women redefine aging? I mean, you are gorgeous, you are beautiful, you are successful. Talk to me.
Oh, thank you so much for that. But yeah, and I'm menopausal. I finished my last period. My last was 2 years ago. But I think that every stage of our lives, they're beautiful things and they're challenging things. I mean, you think about, toddlers, they're challenged with, they can't walk, but they're just, we love toddlers. And then you go through the adolescent phase, they're challenges. Well, menopause, perimenopause is just another phase of life, but it's such a beautiful phase. I really like to think of this as the best time of my life. Truly, if I was to have a wish to go back in time, would I? Maybe to change some things in my life, but certainly I love this part of my life. It's really that, caterpillar to butterfly stage. We have the wisdom, we have the experience now. Fortunately, we have the technology that can help us to feel as if we are in our 20s or 30s, but we have the experience, we have the wisdom to navigate life in a totally different way with confidence. So I like to think of this time of life as an exciting time of life that we can be even more powerful and more successful. And then again, so it's about educating ourselves as to what it is we need to do. And I like something that Dr. Day said. It's not starting now at this age. Fortunately, I had women in my life that helped me from in my 30s to understand the importance of bioidenticals, to understand the importance of doing the steps needed so that when I'm here, I'm not going to feel the symptoms that many women feel if they have neglected to do things to prepare for this part of our lives.
Well, that wraps up the first portion of our menopause panel. Do stick around. Towards the end of the show, we're going to be wrapping up with more insights from our experts on the microphone in the Polished Beauty segment.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase in luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. This is the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Today we have the perfect blend of hydration and inspiration. And tonight's topic is one that's both profound and universal: death. But don't turn that dial just yet. Our guest tonight is here to show us that understanding death can actually teach us how to live more fully. Joining me is Julie McFadden, better known to her millions of followers as Hospice Nurse Julie. She's a hospice and palliative care nurse with over 15 years of experience, a social media star, and the author of her book, Nothing to Fear: Demystifying Death to Live More Fully. She's here to help us break the taboos, demystify stigmas, address our fears, and give us the tools to navigate end-of-life care with grace and acceptance. Get ready for a conversation that will definitely challenge your perceptions and leave you feeling empowered. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hello, thank you. What an intro.
So excited to have you on. Your story, my dear, is so inspiring. I mean, you've spent years working at the intersection of life and death, witnessing the beauty and pain of those final moments. And it truly does take a special kind of courage and compassion to do what you do. But let's go back to the beginning. What drew you to this line of work? And was there a defining moment that inspired you to not only become a hospice nurse, but to write Nothing to Fear?
Yes, so I've been a nurse for over 15 years, and that first part of my career was in the ICU. and which is like where you're keeping people alive at all cost. And my second year into that, just 2 years into it, I still stayed for another 6, which is another story. But those 2 years, I started seeing how keeping someone alive at all cost was causing more suffering. And we weren't talking about it. No one was saying anything about it. And I eventually started to. So I had a patient that really changed the view of what we were doing there. I felt like death was not the worst possible outcome for this patient. And it was the first time I spoke up, and it really made a difference. The family did end up turning off machines for this patient, and the patient did die. And it was a sad, scary moment for me because I felt like I was the one who, you know, caused, in quotations, that. But it also helped me see how I could be an advocate. And there is a way, and we're all going to die, right? And if that is the case, we need to start talking about it so people can die how they choose. Maybe not be in a hospital hooked to machines trying to keep them alive if the outcome is going to be death no matter what in their case. So that drew me to hospice nursing 8 years later. It took me 8 years, but I eventually did it.
I love that you're turning your experiences into a resource for others, and your passion really shines through in your work. Truly remarkable stuff. Now,
Thank you.
death anxiety, just hearing those words gives many of us pause. So, studies show that fear of death is one of the most common anxieties worldwide, and yet it's something we all must face. And in your experience, Julie, why do people have such a hard time discussing death and dying? And how can we really begin to overcome this discomfort?
Yes. So my book is called Nothing to Fear. However, I wanted it to be called initially Normal to Fear. So to me, it's not about like, don't fear death. It's about it's the great unknown. It's scary. It's sad. There's so many uncomfortable feelings around it. But what I've learned from being around hundreds, if not thousands of dying people is that the ones that were dying in the family around them, the ones that were willing to talk about it, to say the truth about it, even if it was, I don't want to, I'm angry that I'm dying, I'm angry this is happening. They seemed to be able to live better because they weren't dead yet, right? They seemed to live better and die more peacefully. So why do we fear it? I think it's the great unknown. And just because we fear it doesn't mean we don't need to talk about it and plan for it. And if we do, it doesn't mean it's going to happen faster. In fact, it usually seems to alleviate the fear, even just for a bit, And we all need to
So
start doing it.
important.
Yeah.
So important to start normalizing death. And that
Yeah.
makes so much sense. And breaking those barriers is really going to be what changes the way we approach life itself, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, your social media presence is nothing short of incredible. Over 3 million followers. Congratulations. You're
Thank you.
officially an influencer.
Right. It's crazy.
You found a whole new way to connect with people on such an intimate and challenging topic. And social media is often seen as a place for escapism, yet
Yeah.
you've made it a platform for education and healing. What motivated you to start sharing your insights online? And do you think platforms like Instagram make these conversations more accessible for people?
Yes. I mean, I am just as surprised as anyone else. I am 42 years old, just so you know. I started doing this 3 years ago, kind of on a whim. And it just took off on TikTok first, which is hilarious because I think I was 39 at the time. And to be taking off on TikTok was like, what is happening? I got on initially just to watch my nieces like do dances. And I think there's something to be said about that. In my day-to-day real life, my friends and family didn't necessarily want to hear about my job as a hospice nurse, right? But there seems to be something about the internet, and maybe there's like because I'm not face to face with them in real life, maybe it's easier to take in the information. But that first video I did, um, kind of on a whim. There was no plan. I didn't have like multiple videos recorded. They were in bad lighting, and it was just sort of me turning on my camera and talking about the things I know. I think it took like 3 or 4 videos, and my page just started going viral, and it just kept happening on all different platforms. So it's something people want to talk about and learn about, whether they admit that or not. So,
Yeah.
I just keep,
Girl, you're getting a lot of help from the other side. I have to
oh
say
my
that.
gosh, I hope
You're getting a
so.
ton of
I
help.
hope so. Yeah.
Uh, well, it's so refreshing to see social media being used for something so meaningful. I love it. Many people don't really understand hospice care, right?
Yeah.
Until they're faced with it for themselves or a loved one. But preparation is key. So, what are some of the most important questions people should ask when considering hospice care? And why is it so critical to address these earlier on?
Yes, hospice is not a bad word. And people think hospice is about dying, and I mean this with my whole heart when I say hospice is about living. Hospice is about living. Unfortunately, we live in bodies in a world that will die, right? And some of us will get diagnoses that we know, like, okay, this is incurable. I'm likely going to die from this disease sometime, right? And I think what we need to start asking ourselves is, if we know we're going to die, which we all are, how do we want that to look? How do we want that to look? Do we want to be in a hospital? Do we want to, quote unquote, fight, to the very end, whatever that means for you? Or do you want to be with your family, be in your own bed, have your pain managed? And really, it's all up to you, but just have an idea of what you'd want your death to look like. If you could control that, which some of us can't, right? But if you could, how do you want it to look? And we need to start preparing and planning for it. We plan for everything in life: weddings, birthdays, vacations. Why are we not planning about the thing that's going to happen to us all? We need to start talking about it and planning. And when you plan, you live better and you die better. I promise. I see it with my own eyes.
Such valuable advice, Julie. And it's empowering to know what to ask so families can make informed decisions, right? It's
Yes.
truly important. Now, one of the most profound ideas in your book is that death isn't the worst possible outcome, like you've repeated on this interview. That's a radical shift from how many of us think. If not death, then what is the worst possible outcome?
Suffering. And when we try to preserve life at all cost, you will suffer. End of story, period. I've seen it with my own eyes over and over and over again as an ICU nurse. We caused, and again, we're doing wonderful things in our healthcare, right? And that's why people are living longer, and death does seem like it doesn't happen, right? And so there's a part of it that's amazing. And then we just take it too far. We just take it too far sometimes, and it causes a lot of suffering.
Wow, that's powerful. It really makes you think about the choices we make in our lives
Yes.
and how we define, quote unquote, living well.
Yes.
Now,
Exactly.
you've talked about deathbed phenomena and these experiences that can seem almost mystical or spiritual. For some, this might sound a little eerie, but it's actually quite common. Can you share a few examples of this and explain what they mean in the context of the dying process?
Yes. So coming from an ICU nurse to a hospice nurse, when I started seeing these deathbed phenomena, which you do, it's undeniable as a hospice nurse, I was like, what the heck is going on here? And really, we don't have answers. There aren't real scientific answers for the deathbed phenomena. But the two I see the most is the rally or the surge. The real name is called terminal lucidity, which is when someone looks like they are going to die, maybe any minute. They have been unconscious for 4 days. And then suddenly, boom, they wake up. They have a great day. Maybe they get out of bed. They say they're hungry. They eat a burger. Their personality comes back. And you're like, wow, this is a miracle. They're back. They're here. They're going to live. And then they die shortly after. So it's like a gift because you get this last hurrah. But if you don't know what it is, and you're not expecting it, it can be very devastating because then they die shortly after. So that's one that we see the most. The second one is visioning. People seeing dead relatives, dead loved ones, dead old pets, neighbors, and they'll have full conversations with them. Patients have told me countless times, my parents came to me last night. They said they're coming to get me soon. Not yet, but it's all going to be okay. And they'll let me know when it's time. And this has happened like countless times. And they are alert. And the people who are telling me this are alert and oriented. They're not like taking their last breath. They're like walking around and just as lucid as you and I.
Wow.
I know. It is wow. And there's no real explanation. We don't really know. There's theories and things, but we don't really know scientifically why it's happening. We just know it does.
it's a reminder that even at the end of life, there can be moments of wonder and connection, and that is the transition. They're transitioning. When my dad passed away in 2016 from aggressive lung cancer, the day prior to him passing away was exactly what you described. And hospice for him was at my sister's house. And he had this great burst of energy, and then the next day, that was it. It was just like he had enough energy to muster up what he could to talk to everybody and,
Oh,
make that last moment count. And yeah, so yeah, you're spot
yes.
on.
Yes.
Now, you say that information is power when it comes to the dying process, and I couldn't agree more. Knowledge can ease so much fear. What are some of the key pieces of information that families and patients should know about this process?
Oh, the first one is the body knows how to die. We are biologically built to be born and grow and live, and biologically built to die. And the body knows how to do it literally. It has built in mechanisms to help us do it. So if you're dying a natural death, meaning you're dying from something, but you're naturally allowing the process to take over, our bodies have built in mechanisms to help us do that. Switches off the hunger and thirst mechanism, switches up the sleep mechanism. So that's why people dying sleep a lot and don't eat and drink. Sleep a lot and don't eat and drink. So the less we mess with that process, the better it usually goes and the more peaceful it usually goes. So that's the most fascinating thing to me that I didn't even know as an ICU nurse. But you see it so often as a hospice nurse. It's like people need to know this. People need to know that our bodies are built to help us die. And it's there for us. It's there for us at the end.
Such practical advice, Julie. And you're giving people a sense of control
Yes.
during a time that often feels overwhelming and things are just spiraling out of control. So
Yes.
kudos to you. Now,
Thank
one of
you.
the most memorable takeaways from your book is the importance of preparation, like sharing passwords before someone passes.
Yes.
It's such a simple yet profound idea. So if you had to pick the top 3 things everyone should do before they die, what would they be?
Oh wow. Okay, top 3 things. Fill out an advance directive stating very specific circumstances of what you would want versus what you wouldn't want. Meaning like if I have a brain aneurysm and I'm not conscious, like do you want a feeding tube or don't you want a feeding tube? So specific things like that that you fill out an advance directive. Always have a beneficiary to your banks and the money you have or your estate, like somehow get an estate planner, a lawyer, something like that to help you tie up loose ends before you die, even if you think you don't have things to give to people. Believe me, you do, and it's going to leave a lot of work for them if you don't get it tied up nice and pretty before you die. Share your passwords to all of your banks and your phones and your emails to at least one trusted person. And then I think the fourth, is get your funeral or mortuary plans in order.
Well said. Well, thank you for joining us and for sharing your incredible insights. You've given us so much to think about, and I know our listeners and viewers are walking away feeling inspired and informed, and that's what's key because knowledge is power. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for those of you that want to learn more, Julie's book, Nothing to Fear, Demystifying Death to Live More Fully, it was out on June 11th of this year. Be sure to follow her on social media at Hospice Nurse Julie and visit her website at hospicenursejulie.com. This is the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. I'm your host, Zen Sams, right here on A Moment of Zen on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. Stay hydrated, stay inspired, and join us on the next segment of Hydration with Heart for more conversations that matter. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
Welcome back to A Moment of Zen. I'm your host, Zen Sams, right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. It's time for our business feature segment where we spotlight some of the most exceptional businesses in the tri-state area. Today, I want to talk about a company that recently left a lasting impression on me and on my floors. VGJ Floors, led by Amberson Camargos. He's been serving New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York since 2004, and let me tell you, their work is simply unmatched. Now, if you're like me, home projects can sometimes feel overwhelming. There's always the worry about delays, mess, or things not turning out quite the way you envisioned. But VGJ Floors is a game changer. From the very first consultation to the final polish, Amberson and his team were professional, timely, and incredibly organized. They completely transformed the flooring in my house, and the result? Stunning. What stood out most to me was their attention to detail. They didn't just install floors, they made sure every corner, every seam, and every finish was perfect. The team worked efficiently, maintaining a clean and organized work environment throughout the process. And believe me, as a mom, the attention to cleanliness goes a long way in earning my trust. But what truly sets VGJ Floors apart is their creativity. They don't just offer flooring solutions, they offer artistry. Amberson brings a passion and expertise all the way from Brazil that is rare in this industry. And with their commitment to providing the best quality flooring at the lowest price, it's no wonder they've been thriving for 2 decades. So if you're looking to elevate your home with beautiful, high-quality flooring that fits your budget, I highly recommend VGJ Floors. You could head to their website at vgjfloorcoveringllc.com to see their portfolio and get in touch. Stick around because after the break, we're chatting with Amberson himself to learn more about his journey, his passion for flooring, and what makes VGJ Floors a standout in the tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In our WOR Business Feature segment today, we're joined by Amberson Camargos, the owner of VGJ Floors, serving New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York since 2004. Today, Amberson is going to join me to chat about his passion, what VGJ has to offer, and how it stands out in the market to offer customers the best quality flooring with the lowest price. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hey, how are you? Good afternoon. How's everything?
Everything's great. So excited to have you on. So you've been providing flooring services for 20 years. But before we dive into the details of your services, let's first go back to the beginning. I'd love to know what inspired you to work with floors and wood. Where did this passion come from?
I grew up on the farm, we used to work with wood, so, we finished up wood over there. Then I decided to come here and start doing floors, refinish floor, install new floor, and start falling in love and start my own business.
All the way from Brazil, right here. That passion undoubtedly comes through in your business. So let's shift to that. The flooring in your home or workplace endures some of the heaviest use every day, whether it's from muddy shoes, kitchen spills, or pets. So I always tell people, you better hope your flooring can withstand the inevitable wear and tear over time. This is where you can help. Let's touch on the time it takes to complete flooring. So you service anything from one room to a whole home to entire workspace. What's the installation process like, and how long does it typically take to complete flooring for these spaces, keeping in mind that homeowners and workers are anxious to get back in there?
Correct, that's correct. It depends too on the size of the area that we're doing. For example, most of the time we're doing empty house, that's have no furniture, not so you go in quickly. If it's a homeowner live in the house, we have to move furniture back and forth. So for installation, depends on the area, it can be done in 1 day, 2 days, the most 3 days, depends on the square footage. The same thing with the refinish. Refinish can be done. If it's a natural, say you're talking about around 500 square feet, it can be done maybe in 1 day, depends on the weather. or it can be done on the second day early in the morning.
Well, we're looking at no matter a 3 to 4 day
Yes,
job at
yes,
the
yes, yes.
most, and the earliest a 1 day job. Very effective. Now, I know a large value of yours is offering quality flooring without the hefty price tag, which really sets you apart in the market, making VGJ Floors cost efficient and an ideal choice for the average customer. How do you ensure high quality work but stay within such tight budgets?
Well, you have to have a good vendors as well, and you got to compete with the others, So if you got to work with quality, you got to deliver quality to the clients, no matter what. We deliver to the clients a good quality. If they think they can afford our service, we give it to you. If not, you want to go for a cheap product, unfortunately, we're not for you.
Lastly, what trending requests, because I'm sure you get a lot of requests, what are you seeing from homeowners today? Are there any cool new materials or styles people should know about?
Yeah, there's a lot of new style. If you're talking about pre-finished floor, there's so many colors. If you're talking about the LVT, the luxury vinyl, there's so many options as well. There's so many colors, If you're going for that area, it's like the same thing with tile, we have so many options.
I know it's not easy to find good floor people, contractors, and you seem to be at the heart of it all and at the beat of it all. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That was our WOR Business Feature, and that was Amberson Camargos, the founder of VGJ Floors, serving the tri-state area. You could head directly to their website at vgjfloorcoveringllc.com to learn more, and definitely check them out on the gram at VGJ Floors. Big shout out to all my Brazilian listeners out there. Go out, show some love and support for VGJ Flooring. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Are you looking to build a new home? Think about building a barn-dominium. There's just something about getting away from it all. Country living, fresh air, and outdoor entertainment. Watch luxury barn-dominium tours on Your Home TV and let Stacy Lynn, the barn-dominium lady, take you on a journey through her barn-dominium designs.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Jay-Z's efforts to dismiss the lawsuit filed against him by a woman who claims that he allegedly raped her when she was 13 years old in the year 2000 has been denied by the judge. That means that his motion to dismiss was denied and the case lives on. Not only that, he wanted to have this accuser have to go forward in public with this lawsuit under her real name and not a pseudonym. But that was denied also. The judge has decided that she can go forward under a Jane Doe status, but may revisit that question later. What also happened was that the judge really issued a scathing decision aimed at Jay-Z's attorneys, saying that they've been overly aggressive in attacking the plaintiff's attorney in this case. So that decision came out, and they have been very aggressive since these accusations have come out. And the judge said, nope, it was too much. You have to dial it back. And there was some criticism to Jay-Z's attorneys for being so aggressive and also attacking the plaintiff's attorney and his character and reputation. So the case goes forward. And of course, Jay-Z is the first celebrity to be named in association with the accusations against P. Diddy in this lawsuit. So the case lives to see another day. It's going to be litigated in court as it appears now, and we will be keeping our eyes on what happens next in the lawsuit against Jay-Z, of course also P. Diddy, here at A Moment of Zen. My name is Imran H. Ansari, and this is your legal update here on A Moment of Zen. Thanks for watching.
A Moment of Zen is sponsored by FinTech TV.
FinTech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. Fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com.
Welcome back to the Menopause Panel, brought to you by the Polished Beauty segment. Expert on the microphone series today include CEO of CO2 Lift Lana Kerr, Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified OBGYN and cosmetic surgeon, and Dr. Doris Day, world-renowned dermatologist and media personality. We're going to talk about hormonal therapies and alternatives now. So HRT, this is a perfect topic, is often a go-to solution for menopausal symptoms, but it's not for everyone. Meanwhile, non-hormonal alternatives are gaining traction. So Dr. Daisy, can you break down the benefits and risks of HRT versus non-hormonal treatments and how women can decide what's best for them?
Okay. Well, that's a loaded question. Do we have 10 minutes? I'm just kidding.
You have 2.
So the benefits of HRT are endless. We've heard so much about it. And let me just backtrack. There are a lot of patients of mine that do not want HRT. So it's not for everyone. There are women that choose not to, and that's okay. So long as you're informed, educated, and empowered to make that choice, it's yours. But the benefits of HRT are endless. You're looking at hot flashes, night sweats. That's a common thing. But you also have vaginal health. As I mentioned earlier, it's a great benefit to be on HRT because your tissue is going to shrink, it's going to shrivel, it's going to whistle away, and it's good to restore it with estrogen. And then there's mood stabilization, just feeling better, cognitive improvement, sleep quality. That's one of the things that happen as you age. Your sleep quality just goes down. So HRT is beneficial on that. Some of the long-term benefits are your bone health. You know, we talked about strength exercising. That is great, but HRT on itself improves that and helps decreases osteoporosis and risk fracture. Cardiovascular benefits, especially if you start HRT 10 years before your actual menopause, that is the most beneficial for you. If you do start it a little bit longer after you menopause, it may not be as beneficial for you. Then you have, as I mentioned, cognitive, and Dr. Day did a great job talking about skin health and hair health. So you have those long-term benefits. The risk of HRT, unfortunately, with a WHI study, there's all this misinformation out there about breast cancer and contraindication. And the short answer is no. But of course, the longer answer is each patient has to be individualized to see what the risks are. Another risk is endometrial cancer. If you're on HRT with estrogen alone and no progesterone and you still have your uterus, you are at risk for endometrial cancer. So you need to be on HRT that has progesterone to counter that risk. Then you have heart disease, as I mentioned. If you're starting a little bit later, like you're 60, I have patients that come in my office, 60 years plus, they've heard so much about HRT going on and they're like, I've never been on it. Can I get started? The short answer is, well, let's assess you and see what the benefits are, because it's all about the risk and benefits. Now, for the non-hormonal therapy, they tend to just treat a symptom. So you don't have this comprehensive beneficial effect of it. So there are medications that will just take care of your hot flashes, and that's it. Or medication that will take care of your sexual health, and that's it. And then you have devices that's very localized. So you don't have that systemic benefits when you are non-hormonal therapy. I have a lot of patients, as I mentioned, that do not want to be on HRT, and that's okay. So I don't want any woman listening to this feel like they're obligated or have to be on something. You do not. But so long as you're educated and informed, then you can make a choice.
Such a nuanced topic. Thank you for your guidance. It's definitely going to empower women to make informed decisions. Now let's chat lifestyle tips for menopausal skin health. So skincare isn't just about what you put on your skin, it's about what you put into your body. Dr. Day, can you share some lifestyle tips, diet, hydration, or habits that women can adopt to maintain healthy skin during menopause?
Yeah, this is a really important time to pay attention to what you put in your body. I always start with vitamin D because vitamin D is essential and we don't need to rely on the sun for vitamin D. I usually recommend vitamin D with vitamin K2 because that helps with vitamin D absorption and your gut biome changes so you don't make K in your gut as well as you used to. And then magnesium L-threonate, magnesium glycinate, both help with sleep and muscle building. So that's really important. And there are some other supplements that you can take as well, like DHEA can be helpful. Creatine is really important for muscle building, and that can also help the skin. So there's a lot you can do in terms of supplements to add to your diet, but making sure you get enough protein is really, really critical. And I think it's more important as you get older, whereas we used to undervalue it. Exercise becomes critical. Zone 2 cardio is the easiest cardio to do. It's just walking 20 minutes. You're not stressing your body. You can have a conversation when you're in zone 2 cardio. I walk to and from work every day. That's my zone 2. It's 2.5 miles each way. So I get my zone 2 in. But then doing resistance training, also jumping, things that are going to stimulate bones and your circulation are really, really helpful. One of the things, even though this is an internal, is when you hit peri and post menopause, you're really not building collagen. So when you're doing all these activities outdoor, being extra vigilant about your sun protection to protect your collagen is important. And then speaking of collagen, I think collagen supplements are helpful. They're a little bit controversial, where some doctors don't think that there's as much evidence-based medicine, and that's true. We always want more evidence-based medicine, but these are supplements. You're never going to have pure science behind it. But the hypothetical data, everything that I've seen that shows how when you take collagen, this is a protein, even though it gets metabolized, it does become building blocks for collagen and can help joints and skin and hair on the other side. And then the carboxy mask, as Lana has, my patients in peri and post menopause love this mask. I have brides do it the day before their wedding. I have the mother of the brides in peri and post menopause do it with them. And they email me from wherever they are telling me how their skin was radiant and glowing. And even with the vaginal carboxy, they will tell me that they have less urinary incontinence and they have better sexual pleasure. So these are things you can do at home. They're not costly. You can buy it on Amazon or get it from your doctor, and they make a huge difference in how you feel and how you look and how you age.
Wow. Again, great answer, great guide. Thank you so much. Simple, actionable tips like these that definitely make such a big difference in how women feel in their own skin. Thank you for that, Dr. Day. Lana, I'm going to segue into Dr. Day handed it off, intimate skincare solutions. So here's something we don't talk about enough, skincare for intimate areas. Menopause can cause significant changes, and self-care in these areas is often overlooked. How does your work with the CO2 Lift vaginal vulva rejuvenation treatment address these unique needs? And what kind of feedback do you hear from women who've tried your treatments? I know we just got a very organic endorsement from Dr. Days and her patients.
Yes, I was going to thank you. Thank you for saying that to Dr. Day and Dr. Daisy as well. One of the things is in terms of pleasure. I think that is so important for women. The benefit of sexual pleasure to just stress to our overall well-being. And what happens is that our clitoris, it just like everything, blood flow slows down. Our clitoris to function optimally needs blood flow. And CO2 Lift is doing that for CO2 Lift V is doing that for a woman. It's helping a woman it's almost reversing clitoral atrophy. Because, I always say a man wouldn't have sex with a flaccid penis. So many women are having sex with flaccid clitorises. And so that's why they're not getting the pleasure. That's why they don't want to do it. If you're not feeling anything, why would you? So the CO2 Lift V is very effective at that. Also to sustained lubrication. That's not just in the beginning. Sustained lubrication is important. And that's what a woman is getting with regular use of CO2 Lift V, as well as the thickening of the tissue. So Dr. Day mentioned even some women are having improvement with stress incontinence because of the healthier tissue. They're feeling that. So I think it's important from a physiological point of view, but also from an emotional and mental point of view. Women are such cerebral individuals. Our biggest sex organ is our brain. Just the fact that we're taking care of that area of our body, it's going to make us anticipate that it's going to be pleasurable. It's going to be fun. But again, we're talking about sex in this aspect, but it's just healthy vaginal health. It's about feeling empowered in that area of our life. It's feeling in control in that area of life when so many of the other areas of our life may be out of control in this part of our life. Having that control is going to help us to feel more confident and navigate this area of our life or this period of our life with more ease and more peace and more patience.
Definitely, your answer shining a nice light, a bright light on an often neglected area of self-care, our intimate skin down there. So thank you. Now, Dr. Daisy, perimenopause and menopause bring a unique set of challenges that extend beyond just physical symptoms. Women often find themselves navigating shifts in their overall health, emotional well-being, and even self-image simultaneously. So self-image, I want to stress this. The intersection of health, wellness, and beauty plays a critical role in helping women not only cope but thrive during this stage of life. So your expertise beautifully bridges these three pillars. How do you see them intersecting to support women during perimenopause and menopause? And what holistic approaches do you recommend?
Yeah, well, that's a really beautiful thing. I think the first thing is that the commonality is nutrition, right? Prevention is always the best way. So before you start addressing health, wellness, and beauty, we have to talk about what is on our plate. What are we eating? And that's the biggest holistic approach I have in my practice, because if you can control the intake, everything else follows in line. So, the standard American diet is not the most nutritious diet. And anyone that disagree with that, I'm not sure what you're eating. But, really being intentional about how you do your grocery shopping. And this is things that I tell my patients. When you go into the supermarket, go to the produce section. That should be where most of your purchases is. Avoid bioengineered food, avoid ultra processed food, avoid, eating out, or if you eat out, be sensible about what you eat, because all of those things will tie into this intersectionality between health, wellness, and beauty. So once you prevent, or at least be intentional about what you eat, then as far as your perimenopause, menopause years, it's easier, because what you do in your 20s and 30s will catch up with you in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. So by default, when you're young, you can get away with so much because you have the benefit of being young. However, in your 40s and 50s, those poor habits or poor choices that you did not make will catch up with you. So around this time, it's really big for women to understand that first, give yourself some grace. You probably didn't understand what was going to happen at this time. And now that you're here, you approach in a very sensible way. First talking to your doctors and getting ideas. And you also do your research. The one thing about social media that I think is fantastic is that there's so much information out there. Of course, there's some misinformation and misguided stuff, but for the most part, you can actually ask questions and get so much answers and feedback. So when you have that, and me as a professional, the conversation is more fluid. So I really appreciate when a patient has done some research and comes to my office, and we can actually talk on a level where I feel like, okay, they're really taking ownership of this journey.
Wow. Well, we are officially out of time. This was a very, very enlightening panel. I think we covered everything from skincare to vaginal health to hormones and to overall just mood. I thank all of you for coming on. It was so enlightening and transparent. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This wraps up this powerful conversation on menopause and perimenopause. Thank you to our incredible guests, Lana Kerr, founder of CO2 Lift and Lumisque Skincare. You could find her at co2lift.com or at the Lana Kerr and at CO2 Lift on the gram. Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN. Visit her at drdaisyyim.com or follow her at Dr. Daisy. And of course, the amazing Dr. Doris Day, renowned dermatologist and author. Connect with her at drdorisdaymd.com or do check her out on the gram. You're going to find very insightful information on her page at Dr. Doris Day. Remember, this conversation does not stop here. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and owning your health journey. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. Until next time, stay curious and stay empowered. For more information, you could head to thepolishedbeautypodcast.com. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com.
That's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com /A Moment of Zen. Also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m., and all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide streaming platform. It's free programming to you. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll be back next week.